Hello, YouTubers. Joe Kersey here on July 2nd, 2018 at 13:15 in the afternoon Eastern Time. God bless us all. Been a gloriously wonderful sunny day. It's very warm. I guess we're sort of officially 90, but it's 80, 84 on the back deck. Uh, you know, Very nice. There's not much of a breeze today. Uh, In any case, you can see a couple of storms getting ready to maybe come in a little later this afternoon. We had a fairly substantial one last night. In fact, the power was out for about 10 minutes, maybe 15. Then it came right back on. Interestingly, it didn't knock out the modem or the router. I don't know how they managed that. But I never lost internet service, and I'm not talking about running on my battery. I just, you know, I never lost Wi-Fi or any of that stuff. So. A mystery, no damage done. Some crap on the porch this morning, just this afternoon. I just cleaned it off. I've got a couple of things to talk about today. I'm doing this on my laptop camera just because I'm doing it on my laptop camera. Um, I mentioned a while back, or a few days back, I bought a bunch of books by Kingsley Amis that I had not been able to find heretofore. Now, maybe that's just because I didn't look for them. I had been looking for them actively at one point in my life, and see, I know that he did not like to have his books published in the United States. I think he only authorized maybe 3 or 4 books that he wrote to be published in the United States. But he's dead now, and I think somewhere along the line, his estate or literary estate or however that's worked has started authorizing his books to be issued in the United States. Here's one that he wrote in 1974. It's called Ending Up. It's published by the New York Review of Books, 1974. It's like like anything Amos wrote, it is acerbic and funny and swings wildly from dark to just ringing so true. The interesting thing about it is one of the characters in this book is, you'd call him a roman à clef for Amos himself, except that when he wrote it, he was 50. So he basically created a roman à clef of himself as he became 10, 15 years, 12 years later in his life. Because by all accounts, he could be kind of nasty, and if you didn't really like him and weren't close to him, you wouldn't put up with a lot of that stuff. Who's that remind you of? In any case, it's a great tale. I just finished it here this afternoon. I actually laid awake and read about 2/3 of it, the last 2/3 of it last night. The next one I'm going to start off is called Girl 20. Now, I don't know anything about this in particular. Well, I've read the blurb on the back. But that's my next one. And it too is by New York Review of Books. Or published by New York Review of Books. And it is copyrighted in, he wrote this in 1971. Copyright 1971. So I'm anxious to start on that here tonight, probably. Um, okay, that covers my little book review segment. Uh, Yesterday was one of those things where, you talk about God gives you a flip on the ear. Basically God gave me a big swat upside the head yesterday. I don't think pride was involved in this necessarily. Certainly, it affords a chance to have a discussion about how memories are formed, how perceptions are formed, how one experiences events around them that turn out not to be what actually happened. Think about that in terms of eyewitness testimony in some of these criminal trials. The Sunday before I left for England, so I left for England on the 5th. So this was on June 3rd, I think. It had to have been June 3rd. Let's look here. Yeah, June 3rd, I read in church at 8 o'clock. Now I won't go into the various personalities involved in this, but I will say that it ran in my mind that there had been a woman who was very gravely ill from our church, and she had one of these open and shut things. Can't do anything. Started going down right away, and before we processed, the interim rector said, well, she's not expected to last very long. Okay. Well, okay, that's memory one. Memory two is I had a vivid image of him standing up at the announcements. Here's some announcements. I have a sad announcement to make. So and so died. I would put my hand on a stack of Bibles and say that's exactly how I remembered it. Well, it is exactly how I remembered it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done what I did. And in fact, the entire time I was in England, I had my laptop with me. I was surprised I didn't get any email correspondence about, the plans for the funeral or this or that. Well, it's like the dog that didn't bark. That should have been a tip-off. And I thought, gosh, so I do the prayer list the first day of every month. And so yesterday was the 1st of July. And so I did the prayer list around, 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. I did not go to the picnic. And I said, and we mourn for so-and-so family and friends of so-and-so who died. So I'm, pottering around doing my usual, passing the time till the Sunday Skype with my friend Tony and Tony, the two Tonys, on Sunday afternoon. And at 3 o'clock, which is basically just about when I would otherwise be Skyping, in comes an email from the senior ward. Did so-and-so die? And just as I'm starting to answer that, saying yes, then the rector calls on the phone. He says, well, where'd you hear that? I said, well, you said it. You stood up in church and said it. He says, I said no such thing. And obviously I believe the guy. I believe the guy. But, this is, we're talking about, this is 8 o'clock in the morning, completely clear-headed. I would have sworn he stood up there and said she had died. The only oddity being there was no email confirmation of any of this stuff in my partners in prayer stuff that I keep on my laptop. Well, that's just a major fuck up, isn't it? Well, fortunately, it was early enough. I think I immediately emailed a retraction and an apology to the group. I think we might have headed off any of this spreading about any farther than between the rector and the senior warden and myself. I certainly hope so. I'd certainly hate to distress the husband of this woman. Or for that matter, any other people in the congregation. But I tell you, you think about it as an exercise in memory formation, perceptual formation, experience, how you remember experiences. I had and have still a vivid memory of him standing up there and saying that. And I thought about that the entire 2 weeks I was over in England. Well, hopefully no harm done. Gosh. So that was my little interesting adventure from yesterday's flies about ready to get zapped here somehow. But no, that's, I mean, just you think about eyewitness testimony. Well, I saw so-and-so, I saw that guy, go into that carryout and shoot that guy, I mean. Obviously, I was wrong, very wrong. That's just a major error. Bang! But again, I don't think pride had anything to do with this one. I think this was some experiential event of a kind that I had really never had before, obviously. Well, that I know that I'm aware of having anyway, obviously. So that's pretty much it for today on that one. Hope nothing really horrible happens out of this, but we'll find out. So I'll say bye-bye, YouTubers. How do I cut you off? Oh, there we go.